Careful about the stand.
A very good afternoon to one and all present here. Today, as part of our third campus interaction of the Podium, we have with us Dr. Gautam Naresh, who is a full-time retainer with the Public Finance and Public Enterprise Reforms practice of the Government Reforms and Infrastructure Development, PwC India. Dr. Gautam Naresh holds a doctorate in economics from Banaras Hindu University and has over 30 years of experience in the field of public finance. He has been the senior economist at National Institute of Public Finance and Policy, New Delhi. Post this, Dr. Naresh joined PricewaterhouseCoopers Private Limited, India. He has wide research and consulting experience in issues related to budgetary reforms, resource mobilization, expenditure management, urban finance, fiscal federalism, and tax and non-tax reforms concerning the Government of India at all tiers. He has extensive experience in projects related to other fields of applied economics as well, namely small-scale industries, rural economic problems, primary education, urbanization, and urban infrastructure reforms. Dr. Naresh has held the position of Honorary Principal Economic Advisor to the Second State Finance Commission, Union Territories, Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India. He was a member of the Expert Committee on Property Tax Reforms in Municipal Corporation of Delhi, Government of NCT of Delhi. He has participated in policy-making deliberations in the First State Finance Commission of NCT of Delhi and UT of Chandigarh. He has participated and conducted various training courses for senior officers of Government of India, state officials and local government officials on the broad areas of taxation, expenditure management, public financial management, revenue administration, urban finance and property tax reforms and fiscal policies. Dr. Naresh was recently involved as the public expenditure expert in the ADB-supported advanced project Preparedness for Property Reduction under the Meghalaya Public Resource Management Program. He was the team leader for the study on electricity charges for provision of water supply by urban local bodies and Panchayati Raj institutions in Madhya Pradesh under the DFID supported strengthening program Management in Government program in Madhya Pradesh. He has also contributed towards developing the Northeast region Vision 2020 with focus on the issues of local self-governments based on findings from detailed field visits. He has been involved in reforming the property tax system in the Municipal Corporation of Delhi to the unit area method of tax assessment. Sir, may I now hand the stage to you to engage the audience in an insightful and an interactive manner.
Thanks a lot, first of all, to the organizers that they had given me a rare chance of meeting you all, who are the new managers of the government. There is no yeah. Electricians voted. Either way. Young friends, let me introduce you with Mr. H.K. Mazhari. He is our team leader in the IDC consultancy for Shillong. This is an ADB supported project, Asian Development supported. And another, he is an accounting expert and head also of the accounting module. And Mr. Karan is junior to him. He takes over the whole charge of this. So we are now 4 from the same project. And Mr. Mazhari is our team leader, and he has been Urban Development Secretary to the Meghalaya. And he has spent more than 25 years in Shillong, Meghalaya government. So actually he should have been the speaker, main speaker here. I shall be speaking largely on the theory, and you have the practical knowledge. So whenever there is some issue, thanks God that he is here with us. This issue of urban issues and need for specialized management training in India, this idea came about a year back when you had taken my interview through, of course, as you know, this Congress had taken the interview. And at that time I said that I would like to talk on urban issues because I believe our young managers may not be aware of this sector. This is my belief is. I don't know whether this belief is true or wrong. So that time this never occurred that this day would be like this to interact with you on this subject. Up and down. Thank you. See, urban sector or cities, it is related with cities. There are 2 quotations which are I am fond of these 2 quotations about the complexity of the issues of the urban sector. To the economist, I am an economist, so I prefer to use this word economist. A city is a dynamic system of interrelated and interdependent markets characterized by great density and specialization of economic actors as well as certain institutional conditions that influence decision making by many different governments, each of which has limited authority and competence. This is true with the federal system because all the issues are handled by either central government or state government or the local government. Second is, this is about the beauty of the cities. Cities reveal their secrets to no specialist, whether it is economist, sociologist, bureaucrat or anyone. Only polymaths or more realistically multidisciplinary research teams can discover something, not everything. Even then, the only way seems to be the engagement of ideographic research. I don't know whether you have heard this name of ideographic research. Anybody? No. Ideographic research is non-diametric research which is based on observations and impressions. And this is for one event, for one person, for one state, it can be used as a tool. The investigation of particular cases, a path followed recently by the economics, largely it is used by the psychologists and sociologists, and the politics of underdevelopment. So this reveals how difficult and complex the city's issues may be. You may agree or may not. Now, when I was thinking on what I should share with you on this issue of urban sector and need for the management, specialized management training. So, only on Sunday, I was sitting with my colleague. So I said that I want to jot down like this. So he said, yes, you go ahead with this, and this is the right approach, at least right to us. So in section 1, I want to deal with the urbanization and demand for civic services and infrastructure, and that also covers with the trends of urbanization in India. Section 2 is constitutional provision. As I said, that multi governments only can handle the issues, but here I will consider what is the constitutional provision of the functional domain of urban governments and urban issues. It is followed by, if the issues are there, then it needs investment also to redress. So investment requirements to meet the urban infrastructure and urban utilities. Governments cannot do alone. Public will not, private sector will not come. So public-private partnership and its various forms, this I want to handle, because without a joint venture it cannot be handled. Then it has been observed that the urban sector lacks capacity, both technical and administrative, and to manage this stress. This needs especially trained manpower. So in this section I want to cover the various observations by high power committees. Then some recommendations have been given by these specialized committees to address the issue of capacity building, and capacity building includes management training also. And there are certain institutions which are providing specialized courses in urban issues. Of course, I will leave this thing to you. And then the concluding observations. So this is how I have structured my presentation. So I may run a little fast because I don't know how much time it will be. But if you feel to put some breath, you are free to. Now, may I know how many you know about urbanization? Does anybody know? So I would read that you know. You have studied. Okay. Urbanization may be broadly defined as the societal process that creates the dynamic system that we call a city. I was trying to find out what is the definition of city, but I could not find the definite definition of city. And this is a complex process. In this process, the population of a country gets transformed from its rural and geographically well spread nature to an urban and highly concentrated one. From being individualistic in character, the society begins to depend more and more on public services, apart from becoming more interdependent among themselves. Among themselves means within the city as well as the outside city also. And this process is self-augmenting in character. As the city governments provide better and more efficient services, they attract more people within their folds, creating additional demands on urban services. Then many times, beyond a certain peak, the quality of urban services ultimately begins to decline due to such continued additional pressure. And the urban characteristics I am showing to you in this. I don't know whether it is it can be read out now, but just you understand, there is a complex process of demand and supply and other things which is resulting into the level of urbanization. The mega cities may have the more complex process compared to the smaller ones. I will give you the handout also, so your organizers can, if they feel, they can make the copy, and then you can, those who are willing to. Trends of urbanization in India. India is one of the least urbanized nations in the world. And among the developing countries, perhaps it is places somewhere. Normally our history, we start with 1901, otherwise the urbanization in India was prehistoric, we say. During the Dravidian period also, Dravidian period was characterized by urban centers. After that, they say the Aryan culture. Aryan culture basically the village culture. Okay, so urbanization is not a new thing to Indian culture and society, but we start from the say figures point of view. 1901, taken as 100 index, it was only 10.84% urban population was residing in India, and now it is 2011 30.16%. So increase is 278% in the index, but in 2030, say in 20 years, this will be 376% in the index. So it means in 20 years, index will change 100. Okay. Whereas in about 80 years, it could reach 200 level. Right? So this is the pace of urbanization. Now, urbanization has the impact on the economic growth also. India's GDP, by the time it is expected, will have multiplied by a factor of 5. 59 crore people will live in city. I am just giving the hint of this impression that how this will lead into the more and more urban stress and issues. 68 cities will have population over 10 lakh, up from 43 today. By comparison, Europe has 35 metropolises. 9.1 crore urban households will be in middle class, up from 2.2 crore today. Between 70 to 90 crore square meters of commercial and residential space, or equivalent to New Chicago, need to be built every year. 2,500 crore square meters of roads will have to be paved, which is 20 times of capacity added in the past decade alone. And 7,400 kilometers of metros and subways will need to be constructed, which is 20 times of the capacity added in the past decade. And about 1,20,000 crore US dollars capital investment is necessary to meet projected demand in India's cities. So this is the magnitude. Now, given the situation and your association in globalization, because no country, no state, no city is independent. All are interrelated, all are interdependent with each other. So the choices that India makes to manage the process of urbanization will have profound consequences on its people and its economic future. But the approaches India's policy makers take will have much broader resonance beyond their own borders. Worldwide, the search for new sources of growth and new market opportunities is on, and how India performs over the next 20 years is of acute interest globally. So if this is going to be the scenario, obvious question would be, who will shoulder the responsibility of managing it? Now, Asian Development Bank, in its urban sector strategy, they have developed and recognized the urban sector is unlike traditional sectors. Please note, because it is involved with intersectoral concerns and is exposed to globalization and regional economic crisis where local and national economies have little control. Further, the strategy recognizes cross-cutting themes such as poverty reduction, governance, gender equity, private sector development, citizen participation, capacity development, and environmental sustainability. So now I think we can little bit appreciate how complex the issues are going to be, or still they are. Gravity will become more. So this was the first portion that I wanted to introduce you with the process of urbanization, the stage in which we are, and what is expected to be. Right? Now I am limiting and introduce to you, and I believe again that you may not be aware much about the functional domain of municipalities. I am using the word municipalities synonym to urban local bodies or cities. So don't get confused if I use sometimes city or sometimes municipal or sometimes like this. The Constitution Amendment, 74th Amendment to the Constitution has provided an indicative list of 18 functions which are of the character of urban nature, which urban bodies or governments should perform. It's not a binding. State governments provide or empower the local governments to perform these things, so they may cut this list or may add also some more. So in 92 amendment, these functions were enlisted: urban planning, including town planning, regulation of land use and construction of buildings, planning for economic and social development, roads and bridges, water supply for domestic, industry and commercial purposes, public health, sanitation, conservancy and solid waste management, fire services, urban forestry, protection of the environment and promotion of ecological aspects, safeguarding the interests of weaker sections of the society, including the handicapped and mentally retarded, slum improvement and upgradation, then urban poverty alleviation, provision for urban amenities and facilities such as parks, gardens and playgrounds, promotion of cultural, educational and aesthetic aspects, burial and burial grounds, cremation grounds and electric crematoriums, then cattle pounds, prevention of cruelty to animals, vital statistics including registration of births and certain deaths, then public amenities including street lighting, parking lots, and bus stops and public conveniences, and regulation of slaughterhouses and tanneries. So this is provided in the Constitution. But apart from this, on the recommendations of the Second Administrative Reform Commission, the Government of India has accepted in its action taken report that 4 more functions can also be added, and it is left to the state government again whether they wish to pass it on to them or not, to their local bodies or not. School education, public health including community health centers, area hospitals, traffic management and civic policing activities, urban environment management and heritage, land management including registration. So in all they become 23 sub-subjects which different levels of municipalities are expected to perform. Now, since this is a range of functions, so complexities, as we have understood, seen, they are either capital intensive or they are labor intensive. Like medical and education is what intensive? Education and hospitals means this thing, yeah, labor intensive. Whereas water supply, roads, etc., some other things, they are capital intensive. So out of these functions, you can have 7 issues. Water supply and sanitation, this is an issue. Urban sprawl, pressure on natural habitats, urban waste management, climate change and air pollution, energy, environment and development, and public health problems. To the desired level of service, there is always an issue that they are not provided by the municipal governments alone or with the help of the outer agencies like state government, central government or international public agencies. In the paper the details of this are there, so I am not going. Now apart from these 7 issues, how the ADB, because ADB is helping developing countries of Asia very much in these sectors. So ADB had approached to see the urban issues like this rapid urban population growth, rise of mega cities, high urban poverty level, inadequate basic services, environmental degradation. And the key challenges are sustaining urban areas as engine of growth. You have to maintain it. I didn't to mention one thing. India's urban population as per 2001 was 27.7%. Okay, but the contribution of this population to the national income was about 74%. So this is the relation. So it means you can deduce from this that these centers, urban centers, are the engines of growth. Because all major and rural side, they are the provider of the inputs, whether it is labor or raw materials. So challenges are sustaining urban areas as engine of growth, then managing urban growth, bridging supply. One more point, that urbanization also you can view has two dimensions. One is that existing urban centers are growing either vertically or horizontally. Second, new urban centers are coming into the fold. Okay, so both ways degree of urbanization is increasing. So bridging supply and demand gap of infrastructure facilities, and you know, as the society becomes more and more complex, the demand for public services also grows, not arithmetically but exponentially, because it depends on the taste. As the technology advances, your taste also varies accordingly, right? So quantity at one side and quality also on other side, demand on both is always there. Then how the strengthening of the urban management capacity, this is more of your interest. Then decentralizing urban administration and responding to globalization. So these are the challenges which ADB has visualized, and what it suggests as an approach. The key approaches in addressing urban issues and challenges are stakeholders partnership. What do you mean by stakeholders? Those who are either giving the provisions or using the provisions. Okay, so both sides are there. Means those who are fulfilling the demands and those who are creating the demands, supply and demand. So both sides, they are the stakeholders. So there should be a partnership among them. Then formulation of city development strategies. Then interlocal cooperation. Cities as ecosystems and city leaders as economic managers. So this is what the approach, how to handle. So if we understand that what is the volume, gravity and dimension of the issues, okay, no solution will come without the investment. There is one high-powered expert committee, very recent one, 2011. So they had studied on 8 sectors, that is water supply, sewerage, solid waste management, storm water drain, urban roads, urban transport, street lighting and traffic support infrastructure. So these 8 sectors they had studied, and this was chaired by Isha Alwalia, the wife of the Planning Commission Deputy Chairman.